Hello, seniors and senior families. Thanks for joining me today on this first ever virtual county to college video. I'm going to go through several things today that I hope that you will find helpful to you or to your student. If you would, along the way, just jot down some notes. Any questions that you have, feel free to email or call me. I am working in the office daily here at school. And after fall break, seniors will have an opportunity then to be at school again. Some of you that are on the AB schedule, you can, of course, stop in as well. I will try to communicate with you all virtually as I would have in person throughout this year as we continue to go through with a school year that looks a little different than our traditional school year. We'll go ahead and get started. I'm going to try to follow along. I made these notes for you and for me as well to keep me on track. First of all, my name is Miss Powers. I am in the guidance office. I have always worked with students with the first part of the alphabet. We have added a counselor this year, so last name for me is A through D. However, all senior college applications, transcripts, go through me. So regardless of your last name, if you're applying for a college and you have questions, I am going to be the resource that you would want to use in that situation. So again, welcome. First thing on the list is campus visits. Davis County High School has traditionally allowed students 3 on-campus visits. And that means you can get an excused absence for school for these 3 visits. Something positive with COVID is lots of the campuses have created a virtual tour. So you can look at them that way first, maybe to narrow down your choices. If there's still colleges that you need to see, then you can do that. Permission slips are available. They have been going out on the daily email. I've seen them a couple of times. If you've missed that, give Miss Judd in the front office a call. She is our attendance secretary. She will help you. Mr. Blue approves those. And then all that we ask is that you get something in writing on official school stationery stating that you were on an official campus visit or tour this year. Also, now is the time, if you haven't already started, you can start applying online. Many colleges have been emailing me saying our application's up and ready. So that is something you can go ahead and do from home. I have fee waivers for students who have free and reduced lunch. What that means is a lot of times when you apply for a school, I think U of L last year was $25, UK was $50. If you are on free or reduced lunch, I can give you up to 3 free fee waivers, which takes care of that application fee for you. So the way I'm handling that right now is a student or parent would just email me their student's name and where they need to apply. I fill out my part and leave it in the front office. You come by, sign, and fill out your part, and then I'll mail those to the colleges, and that takes care of that. So let me know if I can be a resource for you on those, please. Next, transcripts. You have gotten several emails already. And when I say you have gotten emails, I'm talking to the seniors, the senior class. If you check your Davis County High School email, which you need to do regularly this year, it's important to stay informed so that you do not miss deadlines. It's very, 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 very important to check your email. And one that you've gotten multiple times from us already this year is from Parchment. Parchment is the system that we use to send transcripts to all colleges. So right away, when you apply to a college, they're going to email you or mail you something that says, hey, we need your high school transcripts. And transcripts are just a fancy word for the grades you've made and the classes you've taken so far in high school. It also, I believe, shows your attendance and ACT scores. More on that in just a minute. But you will sign up through the link in your email. It's important that you do that because that's what ties you to Davis County High School and to your records. You send that where you want it to go. So you can get online, set up your account on Parchment. You only need to fill out the things that have the red star beside it. It should take like 5 minutes maybe. And I do think you need your social to link you appropriately. You would tell it where to go, send this to Murray State from Davis County High School, you'll see some fees pop up, but in the end, your amount should always be 0 this year. Beyond your senior year, if you need to send your high school transcript to a school, there would be a fee associated with that. So take care of it now while it is still free. And that is unlimited this year as far as the number of schools you can send that to. So transcripts. That is one of the first things that colleges are going to want before they would accept you into their school for the next school year. Speaking of ACT reports, I mentioned that you often see that on your high school transcript. Colleges will not, I repeat, will not honor those scores as official most of the time. So most of the time, schools will want your ACT score from the ACT website. So actstudent.org, log into the site and send it to a school. There is a fee associated with that. So ACT makes you pay. However, when you took the ACT, you were allowed to choose up to 4 schools to receive that particular score. So you might want to check, and you can do that on your ACT account. You can go in and see what 4 schools did I choose. Oh, okay, they got that one. And I'm looking, I'm like, oh, but U of L didn't get my 28. I want to make sure they have that. Then you're going to have to pay a fee to send it to U of L in order to be considered for scholarships and admission. That will be important. So official ACT means ACT from the ACT website. Very few of our students take the SAT, but if that's a score that you're wanting to share for admissions or scholarship purposes, again, that would be through their website to make it official, not your high school transcript. Next up, I have AP scores. Many students have taken advantage of AP classes throughout their 4 years here. If you have received AP scores and you know which school you're going to attend, so this is sort of an after, like once you've decided where you're going to attend, you're going to want to make sure that your college of choice has those AP scores. And again, you could have chosen one school to send them to before you tested. So it's important to go onto your College Board site, log in, and send those scores to your college of choice. And again, there is a fee involved with that. So be prepared with a debit or credit card to pay to make that happen. And that's how you'll get credit. Say it's AP Lang, and maybe that gives you English 101 credit at your school. They'll need that officially, or when you go to register at your college next year, they would want you to take that class. That's where you're going to go, wait a minute, I took an AP class for that. So take care of all of this in advance, and I promise you that you'll be thankful that that stuff was organized and taken care of in advance. That's something you can do now. Next, I said keep all the passwords. I would start something, whether it's a password app on your phone or somewhere in a safe at home. A parent and student, all the different colleges, when you apply, have you set up an email with them. Make sure that you have the emails, the passwords to things like your College Board account, your Parchment account, your student email, the emails at the colleges. Maybe if you're taking dual credit classes, you have an OCTC email. Speaking of that, speaking of OCTC, if you have taken dual credit classes and you want the college to see those grades and you want them to accept those scores as well, you will need to send OCTC transcripts to the college that you choose to attend as well. And I think there's a small fee with that too. So those of you that have taken those classes and you don't want to retake and you want to make sure you get credit, you have to send transcripts from OCTC as well as Davis County High School, as well as ACT and AP scores. So all the things have to go to the college, and it's from separate places. So again, if any of that gets confusing, feel free to give me a call or shoot me an email. I'll be happy to help. Letter of recommendation. Some of you will get into a competitive scholarship situation that sometimes asks for a letter of recommendation. Sometimes a certain scholarship will ask for a letter of recommendation. A few notes on this. Advance notice is a must. So I'm taking care of nearly 400 seniors, so I cannot write all the letters all the days and have it done in 2 days when you're real sorry that your scholarship's due tomorrow. Well, just being honest here, you're going to get you gave me a 2-day advance notice kind of letter when you do that. So keep in mind that we're all juggling a lot of things, and that needs to be given some priority thought to that, whether it be me, an administrator, or a teacher. And most of the time, your best letters are going to come from people who personally know you. So if it gives the option for a teacher, a neighbor, a coworker, a friend, a family member, then use someone who knows you that can use specific examples of ways in which they know you and why they recommend you for that particular scholarship or school. So ask early, and find someone who knows you personally, if possible. Sometimes it says it has to be a counselor. So then, of course, it would have to be me for that. And always follow up with a thank you note. A handwritten thank you note goes a long way. An email sometimes will do the trick as well. So if you ask a teacher to do that above and beyond, what they're already doing for you in the classroom, please follow up with a thank you as well. Resume is the next thing on the list. Some schools ask for a resume. I think it's just wise in general your senior year to start reflecting on yourself and things that you're proud of, and then also to consider areas of growth. So you may note that, I'm in a lot of clubs, but I don't have very many community service hours. What can I do? Or I don't have any work experience to talk about. I don't have any honors, or I'm not in any of, you want to make yourself appear to be well-rounded. And so start filling in a resume. And that's a great practice to see, what parts seem kind of weak. And now it's the beginning of my senior year. What can I do to fill those in? So it's not too late to beef up your resume and reflect on, what have I done a lot of? What am I proud of? What do I want to make sure people know when I apply to colleges or for scholarships? And then where are some areas that I need to grow, and what can I do to fill that in? If you need ideas on that, feel free to let me know. I'll be happy to help. Scholarship competitions is next on the list. Some schools have scholarships that are listed as competitive, and usually that means the highest ACT scores, the highest GPAs, and then within that pool of students who have both of those things, they will compete. And oftentimes that means they'll select some to compete in an interview. That's just something to think in the future moving forward. That usually would happen December, January, February is when I normally hear seniors saying that they're getting notifications of scholarship competitions. Scholarship and admission essays. If you apply to a school that requires an admission essay, be sure to give that a lot of thought and time. Don't just write it the day before it's due. I recommend reading, rereading, let a parent read it, let a friend read it out loud to make sure that you are presenting yourself in a way that makes a good first impression. Because a lot of times they're just looking at ACT score, your GPA, and then the essay is a way to show your personality. So give it some time and thought, and make sure that you have someone check that over for you before hitting submit. The FAFSA opens October 1st. With that, that's a lot to think about for you and your parents. You both will need to set up an FSA ID, and we'll just share more information about that in the future. I met with our Kia rep who provides support to our school, our students and families in this area. If people need someone to sit down beside them and help, she has always been our go-to and comes to our school and sets up nights. She did share with us yesterday that all of that will be done virtually, so she can set up sessions. And there's information that I can share with you all in the future on that if that becomes a need. But just know that you're going to need your tax information for that. An FSA ID would be created in advance, and I will share a video and more notes on how to go about setting that up in advance. And really, it can be a pretty simple process for most. And some of you have unique situations that need extra care, and that's when Cassie from Kia can be a big help to you. So let me know if that's you, and I'll be happy to match you up with her. Financial letters come in the spring. So those of you that joined my senior Google Meet a week or so ago, we talked about this a little bit about how if 10 students in the senior class apply to Murray, when they get these financial letters in the spring as a result of filling out the FAFSA and applying to that school, you would get a letter saying how much it would cost you to attend Murray. And one would think it would be the same, but it's not, due to what a family's expected family contribution would be on the FAFSA and the grade and merit awards, different scholarships. So the price tag would be 10 different prices, probably, if we looked at that. And we don't, obviously, that's private between you and your students. But that's when you actually know how much is it going to cost me to go to Murray versus Western versus UK versus Vanderbilt. So those are options that you will think about in the future. So a lot of times students are eager to hurry up and visit the colleges and decide where they want to go. And while you might get accepted to all, families often want to reflect on those financial aid letters before they make a decision. And I think it's best to wait once you have all that information in front of you so that you can make a decision that is best for you financially and just social and emotionally, what school you like the best and why, considering all those things, as well as the price tag and how you're going to pay for it. Also listed here, call the financial aid office with questions. So the financial aid office at that particular school. If your student applies to Wesleyan and you have a financial aid question about the letter or something about the application, they're going to be the people that can help you with that. I cannot tell you about your farm and your investments and how to claim that on your FAFSA. So I'm not qualified to do that, but the people at the schools are eager to assist you with those specifics. You're going to see different parent loan options. So financial aid is just money you use to pay for college. So there's student loan options and parent loan options. So it's important to look at those letters closely to see they're saying this is how much the school costs and this is how you're going to pay for it. Just line by line, look at the lines and see how they've budgeted your money, because oftentimes they're saying parents can borrow this much and students can borrow this much. And maybe that wasn't what you had in mind. So before you sign off on that, and just take a close look at it. Again, financial aid is just money used to pay for college. There's several different ways that you can pay for college with loans, like we talked about, student and parent loan options. Grants. Grants are good. You always want to say yes to the grant, so you accept kind of the loans or the grants. Loans are up to you, but grants you want to say yes to. So grants are like scholarships. So that means money that you do not have to pay back. The exception would be if you did not have passing grades or you dropped out of school, then they would come back and say, okay, we need you to take care of this money that we let you use for school and you were not successful, so now you have to pay it back. So grants are good. Work study is basically a job typically on campus that they would give a student or allow a student to do in order to help pay for their tuition. So part of that money would go towards the college expense. Scholarships, moving on. And again, some of this, I apologize, is on repeat for those of you that joined my Google Meet a couple of weeks ago. But the big scholarship money comes from the college. So if I'm a student with a high GPA and a high ACT score, my biggest scholarship is going to come from the school I attend, be it Murray, EKU, Western, UK, U of L. Often you can look on their website and see a scholarship chart, and you can see what qualifies you to receive those. First, in this area last year, pre-COVID, WKU announced, and many of you maybe have seen that in the news, that they dropped the ACT requirement. So it's simply based on GPA. And I think that the merit awards start around maybe a 3.0 to a 3.3. I'm not sure on that exactly. And that was last year, and they haven't released this year yet, but it usually doesn't change too drastically. So take a look at that, because someone who maybe isn't a great test taker but has made good grades all through high school could really benefit from that. I think I looked last year with some students who had like a 19 on the ACT, but they had a 3.8. Other schools were giving them $0 for merit scholarship, but WKU was awarding $4,000 per year. So if we talk about 4 years, that's a $16,000 scholarship. So it's worth taking a close look at that if that sounds like a school that you might be interested in. Also, I just got an email this week that U of L is hinting at doing something very similar. So I'm excited to see what they come up with, and I really hope that they put the pressure on other schools around here to do the same so that more kids can benefit from that merit-based scholarship money. Okay, at the top, merit versus competitive. So some schools will award merit scholarship, like all of us get it. So let's say all of us have a 3.5 and a 26, and this college says $2,000. So that means all of us get $2,000. However, it might say with let's say a 3.8 or higher and a 31 or higher, you can compete for, say, full tuition. That means we can apply for that, and we may be selected to compete to be awarded that full tuition. So, and when I say full tuition, that's usually what you're looking at is a competition style for those awards at the schools around here that we've worked with students. That's where that has come from. So just take a close look at those. Some are like automatic awards, and then others are competitive, meaning some will get it, some will not. And so the next note says you should be juggling these 4 things. So you're visiting campuses, that's 1. You're filling out and applying for college applications, that's 2. You're going ahead and applying for scholarships, that's 3. And you're deciding which school to attend. So you can do all of these kind of at the same time. While you're visiting a school, you can also be applying. A lot of times the scholarship things that I talk about, there's a deadline. Most of them start December 1 to January 1, and they will say we have to have your application on file and you have to have been accepted to the school. So that means you have to have done those things prior to December 1 in order to be considered for the merit scholarship. So just look closely at those deadlines. Which leads right into the next thing, keep a calendar. You want to look at the schools, look at their deadlines, and jot it all down. If I was a senior or if I had a senior this year, I definitely would be filling my calendar with deadlines so that all of it doesn't come due at once, and that and that you don't miss a deadline that costs you a lot of money. I hate to see a student come in, in February saying, what kind of scholarship can I apply for? And I'm looking at them thinking, oh my goodness, you could have had so much merit money at a school had you started earlier. So again, start early, start now, look, visit the schools, but also go ahead and be applying to the schools so that you can be considered for these things. And take a look at the competition, the competitive part, scholarships, essays that are due, and keep up with those deadlines because they're all different. Also, another place to look for scholarships is your employer. Some of you have families that work for businesses that are very generous with seniors each year, and that's kind of a small pool of applicants often because it's just people who have family who works at that place of business and who have seniors that year. So if you are a parent listening, maybe you know of something, make sure that you ask your business about potential scholarships. And some of you students may even work at a place that offers scholarships. Even if it's a part-time business, I see things advertised that way as well. So that's something that you would need to ask and know about. Let's see, the next point says use college visits and fairs and virtual visits to ask questions. So think about things that you are wondering and don't be afraid to ask them. That's what they're there for. So when you're thinking, when they start talking about a scholarship and you don't know where it is or you haven't seen that on the website, that's a great time to say, where would I find that information on your website? Or how do I know if I qualify for that opportunity that you're speaking of? So just use that time to get to know the person that's giving your tour or that's doing your virtual visit. It's a good time to get to know them and ask all the questions. Follow up with their email. They are there for you. Their job basically is to recruit students to their campus. So they want to get to know you. They want to tell you all the things that they love about the campus. So use them as a resource when you spend time with them. Also, civic and local scholarships, those are the ones that I know about. So when parents say, tell me about scholarships, I'll say, well, the big ones come from the schools. And then there's ones from your work. And then there's national scholarships. And then there's civic and local scholarships. I advertise the civic and local scholarships often on the guidance webpage. So any that come across my desk that I think one of our students could potentially win, I share it on the guidance webpage. So you can go there now and find a link for scholarships and you can see what's available. It's probably a really short list right now, and maybe there's 1 or 2 things on there to consider at this point. However, you'll see that list grow quite a bit from December through early spring, a lot in January, February, and I try to give you notices when things pop up. Sometimes they give me something and say, it's due in a month. Sometimes they give it to me and it's due in 2 weeks. So I would consider putting an alarm on my phone saying maybe like every week or every 2 weeks, especially after Christmas, maybe every week on Wednesday, say at noon, I'm going to have an alarm that says check for scholarships. And that means go back to that guidance page, look to see if there's something there that might benefit me or something that I could be eligible for. So the bonus of civic and local scholarships is that, again, it's that smaller pool of applicants. We're talking about someone at this school, maybe, if it's a Davis County High School scholarship. It could be someone in this community. And we have people that are very generous with the scholarships here each year. So it's fun to see students get excited for those, and we like to have many applicants for those. The national database is a larger pool. So whenever somebody says, I heard someone got a scholarship for being left-handed and flat-footed. Okay, I don't know that person. I'm not saying it didn't happen, but those kind of scholarships are on a national database. And I will share a couple of those with you. One is Kia.com, and you are familiar with Kia, and that's KHEAA.com, because that is where you look at your KEYS money balance. That's money that you've been earning according to your one-time ACT bonus, but also your GPA throughout your 4 years. That's money you can use for in-state schools. They also have a scholarship search. So that's one worth your time to look at. FastWeb, FastWeb.com is another one. CAPEX, CAPPEX.com. These are, again, national scholarships where you could be like, I'm going to major in nursing and I have a 3.0. You can use filters like that to narrow it down. So some parents like for their students to be filling out scholarships. Often that's a great place to get them if you want to get started now. And someone is going to win. It might be like someone in the state of Kentucky, or it might be someone in the Midwest, or it might be someone in the United States. But those are definitely out there. There's plenty to apply to. And I think if you sign up at FastWeb and put in some of your information all year long, they'll email you like, hey, there's 4 more scholarships you're eligible for. And oftentimes students find that they can recycle some of the essays that they've created for other ones for those. So sometimes it's not very time consuming once you've invested into some good college essays that you can recycle those. And there's nothing wrong with that as long as it is your own work. Okay, where are we? We are good on this screen, I think. Okay, in the spring, so this is when you're actually going to receive the financial aid letter. So if you'll remember earlier on, I said FAFSA opens, October 1st. So you're filling that stuff out early, and then you're applying to schools. So schools on the FAFSA, you can choose up to 10 schools to consider for your financial aid status. And you can go in and change those. If something comes up in November and you'd already sent, you didn't put that school on, but now it's become of interest to you, you can always go in and adjust that. But your financial aid letters, which actually tell you how much the schools are going to cost you or your student, will come in the spring. Usually end of March through the month of April is when we see those happening. And then from there, you would want to notify, once you make a decision of where you're going to attend school, you're going to want to notify all. You're going to want to accept, obviously, from the one that you choose, and then let the other ones know that you've decided against attending those schools. And usually the deadline has been May 1st nationally, and we call that College Decision Day. And so by then they want to know, like, this, maybe this scholarship is available to you until May 1st. And then after that point, you might lose that opportunity. They might put that money back in a bucket and award it to other students. So be sure that you accept and reject the ones after you've reviewed all of those letters. So then what's next? So we're talking spring. Then you start with, they're going to ask you about housing deposit. So if you're looking at a school closely and that's where you're going to go, or maybe it's down to 1 or 2, you may want to consider go ahead and filling out your housing and giving them a deposit. Take a look at that closely, whether you get your money back on that or not. But that kind of gets you in line for preference in where you will live in the fall semester. Also, there's orientation and scheduling for fall of 2021. That, years ago when I was a senior, that happened in March for me. But now students are going even earlier, like sometimes February. Now, they do have these sessions usually available through the summer months, but realize the earlier you register, the more opportunity you have to get the classes at the time you want, with the professor you want, et cetera. So as it gets closer and closer to the fall actually starting, of course, the options are more limited. So as soon as you know, it's good to go ahead and take care of that in advance. And again, that's good to have your calendar out, so you start looking like, okay, housing opens when can we fill that out? So again, those are things that you kind of get in line for. Just to conclude, I want to talk to you a little bit about a prize option we have here with you. Normally, we would have this at school, and we would get to see the families and students face to face, and that's a lot of fun. We're missing out on that, but Miss Nicodemus is our Family Youth Service Center coordinator here at Davis County High School, and she still wanted to support this opportunity for our students with some college dorm prizes. So in order to be eligible and to kind of have proof that you viewed this with me today, if you would visit my Davis County High School virtual office, and I'm going to try to click a link on that now to show you, but you would go to the Davis County High School website under guidance staff. Normally it would just have our name, address, but now you can visit our virtual office, and in just a minute, let's see. And this is what you should find. And on this, you can find a lot of things that you may find useful. I talked about KIA, so you can see that here, a letter of recommendation. If that's something you need from me, I will have you go here to fill out information sheet so that I can get to know you and some things that you've spent time doing so that I can include that in a letter. From here, you can see scholarships, college visits, Parchment, Infinite Campus, upcoming college visits, ACT, etc. So once you have visited this, if you would just shoot me an email with your name, and I'm talking to the seniors here, so this is not for the parents, this is for the students. Send me an email and say, hey, Ms. Powers, I viewed County to College, and I went to your virtual office, and here's one thing that I think I might be able to use this year that will help me when I am in my journey to apply for college and be prepared for next year. So thank you all for your time. Again, I'm here in the guidance office each day, so give me a call or email if I can help in any way, and I look forward to seeing you in person soon. Thank you.